I always thought Pokemon was just a matter of fun of games. However, something has changed my mind to the point where I never want to pick up a video game again. It all goes back to a couple days ago. My parents and I live in a huge mansion. My parents usually aren't around due to business, but I'm old enough to take care of myself. Besides, I have some friends that I play Pokemon with all the time. Sometimes, when I play my game, strange things would happen. Sometimes certain Pokemon would randomly appear in my game, even though they don't appear in a certain route. This is because I live near a cemetery, and the spirits love messing with me and my surroundings, like furniture and my television. They really love messing with my toys and video games though, since I pay a lot of attention to those. I never minded, though. They were really friendly most of the time, and never did anything harmful in my game. I have come to like them a lot. Sometimes when messing with my game, they gave away their name if they came to trust me enough. However, there was one new ghost that changed everything. Recently, a young girl, only a couple years younger than me, died. She was buried in the cemetery near where I live. I always felt sad whenever anyone died, and I always attended the funerals whenever I could. This funeral was no different, except there weren't many family members there, just the girl's parents and a couple others. Her parents didn't even look upset in any way. If anything, they looked like they were about to throw up. I went over and asked if they were alright, but they just told me to go away. Feeling a little insulted, I decided to leave soon after the body was buried. I almost forgot to mention, my parents attended the girl's wake with me, but for some reason they wouldn't let me see her body. I got a bit upset, because they had never said I couldn't before. However, they seemed extremely concerned, so I decided not to argue. Around this time, I had been aiming to get a Skyform Shaymin, considering it was my favorite Pokemon. I had caught a wild Shaymin using the Pokemon Modifier cheat code. I have no idea what to name it. I thought back, and remembered the name of the girl that recently died. Sky. It fit almost too well for a Shaymin that I planned to get it into a Sky form. I put in the name. Since it was going to fly in Sky form, I taught it fly using the Learn Any TMHM code. I figured since I was going to keep it in Sky form 24/7, it would work fine. I opened the menu and got the Sky to use fly. I chose Floroma Town, the home of the Gracidea flower. I moved my character over and talked to the blonde NPC who was supposed to give me the Gracidea flower. I didn't realize you needed the Oak's letter event to get the Gracidea, so I was wondering what went wrong. Eventually, I give up, and I had stuck with a flying land form Shaymin. It was odd, and she never grew on me. She just flew me from place to place. Nothing special happened. Eventually, after I have grown tired of a Pokemon Platinum and traded every good Pokemon I had to Pokemon Heart Gold, the Pokemon just sat in my PC for the most part. But eventually, I looked back in the PC box and noticed how many cheated Pokemon I really had. I realized I had 2 Shaymin. I didn't want 2, so I randomly chose a Shaymin and released it. That Shaymin was Sky. Now, this is where things really begin. The next day, my parents were gone again. I was feeling a little lonely, so I started up Heart Gold, hoping someone would mess with it. Someone would mess with it, alright? When I started up Heart Gold, I got a message. The save file has been corrupted. Please. The rest of the message was covered in glitch blocks and couldn't be read. I tried to look for hidden messages. The glitch blocks were yellow. I tried to think of what that meant. Then I realized it was the same color as the icon when you start a Pokemon Platinum. Assuming this ghost wanted me to play Platinum, I grabbed the cartridge and started up. I started in Floroma Town. It was nighttime in the game, even though it was still light outside. I thought nothing of it, considering there was a normal thing that happened when ghosts played with my game. I was facing the blonde girl who gave you the Gracidea. I tried walking away, but there seemed to be invisible walls. I caught on quickly and realized I was supposed to talk to the girl, so I did just that. She said something other than her normal text. She was an outcast. No one liked her for who she was, so she changed. I had to admit, I was a little confused by this. My friends had always had friendly little dialogue changes, nothing dark and depressing. At the same time though, I could tell from that the ghost messing with my game was trying to tell me something, so I continued playing. I was capable of moving again, so I decided to talk to the other NPC and see if they have anything interesting to say. None of them had anything out of the ordinary to say. However, when I tried to leave town, there was an invisible walls on both exits. I decided to go to the Pokemon Center to get a Pokemon that could fly. When I entered the Pokemon Center, I heard a stairs sound effect, and I was taken to what looked like the inside of a house. There was a brown-haired girl in the middle of the house, surrounded by Pokemon dolls. The girl's face was extremely pixelated, and I couldn't even make out any specific features at all. I went up and talked to her, but all she said was a bunch of glitched blocks. I couldn't figure out what any mean. I decided there was nothing important here, so I walked out of the house. I was back outside the Pokemon Center, but as soon as I walked out, there was a sickening crack that played on my speakers. Startled by the noise, I rushed back inside to see what happened. To my surprise, I didn't end up in the house. I was in Floroma Meadows. There were no ledges, however. It was just a big open field. I paid close attention and I noticed some flowers were missing. They spell out two simple words.
I'm sorry.
I have no idea what this meant. Maybe this ghost wanted to apologize to someone who was still alive? I couldn't think of a logical explanation at the time. I went down the meadows and left. The game played the stairs sound effect again, and I was taken to the start of Seabreak Path. Seabreak Path didn't connect with Route 224, so I was forced to go forward. However, on the ledge where the path was supposed to lead to Route 224, there was a Sky Farm Shaymin overworld sprite. However, something felt off about it. Its body looked limp. I started feeling a little nervous, so I walked away from it. I was walking for a while until I noticed an item on the path. I untamed the item and got a Master Ball. I figured I was going to need to catch a Shaymin here, which I found odd because I heard Shaymin doesn't appear in Flower Paradise without the Oak's letter. But I excused it, considering the fact that there was a kind of thing wasn't normal anyway. I continued moving forward until I made it to the Flower Paradise. When I made it there, I noticed there was no flowers there at all. It wasn't even called Flower Paradise. It was just a blank space where the name should have been. I walked up to where the Shaymin was, and I was horrified to see what I just did. The Shaymin was there, but it had Sky Farm ears, flowers, and front legs. The legs and ears were bleeding where they attach. I couldn't see any other details due to sprite limitations. I wanted to turn the game off right away, but my respect for the dead told me it's happening for a reason, and I needed to find out what. After an inner argument with myself, I talked to Shaymin. It actually said words, instead of gibberish meant to sound like a Shaymin was saying its names.
I remember you.
And then a battle started. Now that its sprites showed in battle, I could see closer details. It had what it looked like a noose tied around its neck. Its eye had no pupil at all. Like they had rolled to the back of its head. It had Sky Farm ears, flower, front legs, and tail. The back legs looked painfully stretched to meet the length of the front legs. Its cry sounded like a land-formed Shaymin and the sky-formed Shaymin cry play at the same time. However, the thing that disturbed me most was that its name was Sky revealed herself. Just from that, I knew who was haunting my game. The girl that died a couple months back. The one that was recently buried at the cemetery by where I live. I had nearly forgot about her. At first, I was too surprised to do anything, but then I finally started paying attention to the battle. My Pokemon were missing. I didn't send out anything. My trainer's sprite just stood there. I didn't want to choose to fight, because I have a bad feeling that Shaymin would fight back or something that attacked my trainer. I chose the Pokemon option. A text box appeared. They all left you. I figured running would have resulted in something just as bad as fighting it, so I went to my bag and chose only item it, the Master Ball. The Master Ball easily caught Sky. There weren't any happy music for catching her. I returned to the overworld. Sky was there. A text box appeared. Sky hugged your leg. Skies love you. At this point, I was getting really disturbed by this. I almost didn't want to continue, but I feel like that I needed to. I told myself Sky was doing this for a reason, even if it seems really freaky to me. With that, I decided to press on. However, there wasn't really anything to press on. The birds of flowers were cut off. Remembering that Shaymin named Sky I released had fly. I checked the Sky's summary. Thankfully, she did have fly as one of her moves. To my surprise, she had another move as well. She knew Scary Face. What does this meant? But I decided to figure it out later and close out the Sky's summary. I didn't want to just stay on this island forever, so I chose fly. I didn't even pay attention to where I chose. I just wanted to get away from the island. And get to a PC and release this thing. Sky didn't think she can fly. She tried. I sighed. I should have expected that. I closed out the menu. Sky was right in front of me again. I talked to her.
I love you. You cared. But I won't let you leave.
The pixels started glitching.
I need you.
The game started glitching even more. The music froze and continued playing a single long note. I realized the game froze. I turned the game off, but something tempted me to turn it back on. Something just told me that Sky's business wasn't done with me. However, at the last couple of things she said, I felt really disturbed. I didn't know if she was trying to mess with my head and pretend she was the Shaymin so I get emotionally attached to it, or if it was something else. I kept stressing about it, until I got so fed up with it and I turned the game back on. Maybe I'd get more answer if I pressed on. Maybe she'd leave me alone. The title screen didn't show, just sent me straight to the menu when I chose continue. The flower paradise wasn't there. My trainer was just standing in the blackness. This guy was standing in front of me, as he was waiting. I talked to Sky.
I feel alive now.
Sky's cry played.
I can fly now.
I wondered if that mean I could fly out of this black area. I opened the menu and tried flying, but a message appeared. There's nowhere to fly to. I groaned. I wanted to get this over with. I closed out the menu. I didn't bother to talk to Sky. I tried seeing if I could move around. I couldn't move left or right, but surprisingly, I was capable in walking down. So I held down the B button and ran for it, just to see where it lead. I barely started running when a text box came up.
Where are you going?
I started running again. It lasted a little longer, but another text box came up.
Come back.
I just kept running. I'm not sure why, but something just told me. However, I ended up regretting not turning back.
Come back. I need you.
Sky's cry played loudly on my speakers. I was really shaken by how loud it was that I lost my train of thought for a second. I had stopped running, but when I did, Sky walked up to me. My trainer automatically faced her.
They never cared. You don't care either.
For some reason, it gave me a yes or no answer. I was still honestly scared out of my wits on how desperate she was, but I still felt like I cared. I have respect for the dead after all, so I chose no, denying that I didn't care.
Liar.
I felt slightly insulted that she could accuse me of lying.
Do you care?
Another yes and no option. I chose yes.
Do you love me?
I didn't know how to respond to that. I barely knew her at all. I cared, but I just shouldn't say I love her or anything. I chose no.
You're just like the others. I'll make you love me. You're mine now. You're mine forever.
The game crashed, and I was forced to turn it off. I quickly hit the DS and curled up on my bed. I couldn't sleep at all that night. I knew she was still there, watching me. I could feel her presence there. I just waited until my parents got home. which was really late. However, the moment I heard them come home, I rushed over and hugged both of them. They were really mad at me for staying up late, but I didn't care. There was one thing I wanted to ask them. I asked them why they wouldn't let me see Sky's body. They were wondering why I was asking this out of nowhere, but I asked them to answer the questions anyway. They returned my hug, and my mom said she didn't want the same thing to happen to me. I didn't understand what she meant, so I decided to stop stressing about that. Instead, I stressed over something else and asked them one more thing. I asked if we could move somewhere really far away. My parents said that we'd be stuck with this mansion for a long time. A really long time. Maybe for the rest of their lives, they added. I fought back tears as I went back to my room. I knew for a fact I was never going to pick up my DS again. I stumbled back to my bed. I just wanted to curl up and go to sleep. But at the same time, I had a bad feeling something would happen if I did. After touching the turning a bit, I noticed my DS was under my pillow. The screen was dimly lit, but there was a message there.
This will be our little secret, okay?